And happy Tuesday morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Been pretty busy here getting everything settled. And of course, y'all know in less than 6 months, we have our Comic Con coming. So we're looking forward to that. But it is Tuesday, as you know, two for Tuesday. And we have Ashley Earley here with us. And she, I believe, is fantasy and horror are your two
Yes.
main subjects.
hmm
So tell us a little bit about your books and what got you started.
Yeah. So my horror book, the one that's coming out in October, is Herd of Skulls, and it's about the evolution of a serial killer. I have written fantasy up until writing this horror novel, so jumping into a spooky book like that was very different from my normal.
I could definitely see how that would be different. I, I did fantasy and then I jumped into Western. So,
Oh, wow. That is a
yeah,
dramatic change, too.
big, broad areas. So, what is your inspiration and what got you started into writing?
I started writing when I was 14. I just kind of fell into it thanks to, Wattpad at the time was really popular. So that's kind of what got me started with that. And I wrote like a terrible, uh, total knockoff of X-Men because that's like one of my favorite movies, and like storylines. And then the idea for Heart of Skulls and how like that came up was I was trying to look for answers on. I watch a lot of true crime, and the answer I was trying to come up with was for a question that involves like how does a murderer get away with doing this over and over again, but have a normal life and a normal relationship at the same time. So both of they kind of like that started me getting into writing, and then that is what kind of started me getting into horror. So
So, it was definitely the ID discovery that got you into the horror part.
oh, I watch a lot of true crime. Like I get sick of it sometimes and have to like take a break.
Yeah, hey, but the thing is yours is more fiction when that's real, but you still have a little bit of it based with each other.
Yes, so my book is heavily inspired by like Ted Bundy and how he was able to maintain a relationship with his long-term girlfriend Liz, and her not suspecting anything. Like The Phantom Prince was written by her, and it's a short nonfiction piece, but it was very interesting to get her direct insight on how she felt about Ted and how their relationship evolved, and then how she ended up becoming suspicious later on.
That would definitely do it. And this comes out in October, you said?
Yes, October 3rd.
Oh, so we're going to be having a book launch party before long.
Yeah, I wanted it out right in time for spooky season so people had something to read during Halloween.
Yeah, they're going to read it and they're probably going to want more then.
Yeah, I know. I got to start writing more.
Now, I believe you're in Colorado. I have to ask, how's the weather up there? Because it's hotter than blazes down here.
It is so hot. I was trying to go on a hike yesterday with my dog, and I was like, okay, I'll go at like 7 o'clock at night. Like, that'll be cool enough. because my dog is like completely black. So I'm always worried about her getting a heat stroke or something. And I thought it would be cool enough, and it was still like 95 degrees and like sweaty and gross. So I didn't end up going. But hopefully someday soon we'll be able to go on a hike. But it's just been disgusting.
Oh, we know that down here in Houston area. It's definitely got the heat with us. It's like 111 with the heat index, and it's still, I think it was like 80 something this morning when we got up to take the dogs out.
Yeah.
So
Just a
definitely,
disaster.
yes. Now let's talk a little bit about the fantasy. What got you into the fantasy to get you started?
Fantasy is like one of those things where I'm sure a lot of fantasy writers can relate, but I like the escapism of, creating my own world and being able to slip into a different reality that's not my own. So even now, like I wrote horror for a while, and I still read fantasy books because that's like my getaway. Like that's that's my little break where I like to relax and not be in reality. Just kind of distance myself from life and responsibilities. So that's my my treasure. Like that's my safe space.
Now, with all that being said, I'm going back to what you previously said about writing a knockoff on the X-Men. And I have to ask, since I just lost my camera for some reason, don't know why.
Gotta love technology.
Who knows? I'll be working on it as I'm talking. But do you go to comic conventions at all?
I have gone to like BookCon for a few years before COVID hit and the pandemic shut everything down. But other than that, not really. The Comic Con that we had in Atlanta, because I'm originally from Georgia, was
Dragon
some
Con.
yeah, the Dragon Con was just kind of starting to really become a really big thing around with the people that I was associating with at the time. But like we never, we were in high school. It wasn't something that we kind of like thought about going to that we could even afford at the time. So, and then I do have plans to go to the Readers Take Denver Con next April is when it starts. So I'm more of like if I'm going to go to a convention, it has to be book related so I can meet like a bunch of my nerdy writer and reader friends.
Oh, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of authors that go to the comic conventions, especially fantasy.
I
So
definitely want to go to one. There is one, I can't remember what it's called, but there is one that's in September here, and I've been thinking about going to that one.
I would definitely give it a try and at least look around. So where can people find you at?
People can find me. All of my social medias are the same, so it's Ashley_Earley. My last name is spelled a little weird, so I have like an extra E in there, so it's EARLEY. And then my website is the same, where it's AshleyEarley, no underscore.com. But yeah, like that's where you can find me. I'm usually on social media more than my website, of course. But I do try to write blogs and stuff for everyone.
Now, can they get signed books from you through those?
Not just yet. I am working on that because Heart of Skulls doesn't come out for a little bit, but I am planning to. I have a bookish shop now with. I own and run a editing company, and my books are probably going to end up on that shop over there.
That can be, editing is quite a trauma, especially for writers.
See, I can edit for other people really like pretty well. I cannot edit for myself, however. I hired an editor to be able to take over the line editing and proofreading and formatting part of Heart of Skulls because I wanted nothing to do with it.
No, you really don't. People don't quite understand that editing is such a process where you actually have to have somebody reread it, because if you do it, you'll just mark it and say, whatever.
you kind of gloss over it as well, since you're so close to your story and it's so like personal to you and everything. It's like, it's your book baby. That's what I always tell people. It's your book baby. You're not really trying to, while you are looking for flaws, you kind of just like gloss over those flaws sometimes. Or, you know, you have a plot hole and you don't really, you read right over it and don't see it. So having a second pair of eyes is very, very important when it comes to writing and books in general.
Definitely. And the other thing is an editor might see something different than what the writer is seeing it as.
Yes, for sure.
So, and if the editor sees it different, that means other people will probably see it different. So you're probably going to want to work with that anyway.
Yes. It's very, very, very important. At the very least, I tell people to get their book proofread before they just hit publish on it.
That is for sure. Any words of wisdom for people that want to get into writing?
Um, a lot of people are very, when you first start writing, you know, they want to buy as many craft books as possible, you know, on the writing craft and everything, which is great. However, having too many can be very overwhelming. So I would say, like, you know, buy 3 books if you're going to start with writing craft books. Buy 3, really get into those books in depth, process those, try to apply it to your own writing before just kind of delving into so many books that you get overwhelmed by them.
I can definitely agree with that. And any of them, any words of wisdom to the people who are fixing to go through an editor, since you are an editor?
Yes, I always have advice with that. I have a post about editor red flags actually to kind of help people avoid the editors that are out there that are trying to just basically looking to scam people out of their hard-earned money, and they're kind of ruin their book in a way. But no, I always tell people to make sure that you look for editors outside of just Fiverr and Facebook. I mean, there's a flood of people that will claim to be an editor. Make sure you look for someone that has the proper credentials, like maybe they went to college for editing specifically, or English, or they got a certification to specifically edit. Make sure that that editor has a contract that not only protects you and your work, but also holds the editor accountable. Make sure that the sample edit looks the same as or relatively the same to the final edits that they send back with the full manuscript. I could go on and on.
Now, you said you had a post about it. Is it on your website also where people can read?
So I have my stuff separated. So if you're looking for my editing business and my editing advice and stuff like that, that's going to be on Instagram at Earley Editing or earleyediting.com. Last name spelled the same way, Earley, and then editing. But yeah, that's all. I think it's on the blog, and I think that we also did an Instagram post about it just because it's something that's so important. And I have a series about editor red flags on my TikTok as well, which again is Ashley_Earley. But it's such an important thing to know so you can properly find the editor that's for you. And preferably that would be someone that works with you and your writing instead of just kind of like you guys working on your own.
Very true. Now, they can get your books on Amazon.
On Amazon, Heart of Skulls is available for pre-order as an ebook right now. So it's on Barnes and Noble, Kobo, and stuff like that right now. So that one is pretty much everywhere.
Oh, for sure. But I would like to thank you for coming on the show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And everybody else, we will be back at noon for our 2 for Tuesday. And then our show will be on Wednesday with Tom Rash, who is a comic book artist and has done many other things as well. But until noon, we will talk to y'all later.